Good morning, everybody. Welcome to podcast from Trainlang. This is Aline, and I'm today with my friend Santi.
Hello, Aline. It's been great. It's been ages without being together. Well,
It's
we've
true.
never been together on a podcast.
No, I think this is going to be quite dangerous,
Yes,
actually.
because they know we are great, you know, when we are
It's,
alone.
they
Imagine
know more
together.
than anything that we're crazy, totally crazy. More you than me, by the way.
No, you're a bit crazy
So
too.
tell me, Santi, what are we going to talk about today?
Today we will talk about our favorite conditional, which is the third conditional, because we are very imaginative people, and this is for imaginary things. So, yes, third conditional.
So that's
My
your
favorite.
favorite one. Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Well, we'll find out. We'll find
If
out
we
in
were
a minute.
teaching the mixed conditional, it would be my favorite one. But this is
Well,
also
then
my favorite one.
don't worry, people will wait for your explanations of the mixed conditionals. If
Oh
it's not
no.
today, we'll find another day, no problem.
Okay.
Okay, so you already explained, Santi, the use of third conditional, and we're talking to B2 level, so people know the third conditional.
Do
Uh,
they?
yeah, I think they do. But anyway, we're going to help them refresh their knowledge of third
Right.
conditionals. Can you help us with the structure of the third
Yes.
conditional? Quite.
So, like any other conditionals, conditionals have two parts of the sentence, and the first part we will use if an if clause with a past perfect, simple or continuous, which is the verb had and the past participle. And on the other clause, we will use a modal verb, which would be would, could, or should, and then another verb. So this is happening in the past, as you can see, because all these verbs are happening in the past. But as we said, is an unreal or imaginary situation. But that would be the structure, I think.
Very good. In fact, you mentioned modal, would, could. All of them have something in common. They are in conditional tense. Okay. So I like to structure it is like if, past participle, sorry, past
It's perfect.
past perfect, sorry,
Yeah.
past perfect simple or past perfect continuous. And after the comma, we have conditional sentence. Okay, that's very important. And it can include, of course, the modals like would, could that you mentioned. Great. I like to say that the third conditional is very useful to talk about regrets. Do you agree with me?
Well, yes, if the hypothetical things that happened in the past, yeah, it could be something that you regret. It doesn't need to be something negative in itself, but yes, we can use it also for regrets. But
Yeah,
we don't
like
regret much, don't we?
well,
I've never used it that much because I don't regret that many things.
anything. Oh, you're so positive, Santi. Don't worry. That will come one day.
Oh,
Great. And no, I don't wish that at all. Now, this is a podcast and that wants to show how to enjoy life in England. It's like we want to make it very practical and
if it's possible
imagine.
to enjoy life in England, we
Oh,
will
why
try.
do you say that? Look, you're saying that while you're handing a cup of tea. So
Well, I'm living in Scotland, so now I have my audience. I need to make Scottish people happy. So
okay, come on. So you're doing well. Well, we're going to try to apply the third conditional with examples. Okay. Now, examples about life in England. Third conditionals
very good.
with life in England. So come on, try to invent something
Okay,
nice.
maybe. So if I had visited England, I would have tried fish and chips. So this sentence is, if I had visited England, I would have had fish and chips. It doesn't mean that I have been in England. Actually, it means that I haven't visited England, so I didn't have the opportunity to try fish and chips. So this sentence shows that this situation is an unreal situation. I haven't been in England. We're talking in the past, but it's an unreal past.
Have you tried fish and chips though?
Oh, many times. And this is interesting, Aline. Wherever you go, they have the best fish and chips. You know, you go to New Zealand, the best fish and chops, or Australia, the best fish and chips. but
So you don't need to visit England to try fish and chips, do
yeah,
you?
they're good, but it's a very simple dish. You can't go wrong with fish and chips, you know.
I don't think so. You're right. Yeah. Now, give me another example, please.
Me, okay. Let me think. So she would have felt more at home in England if she had learned the language.
That's a good
So
one.
she would have felt, yeah, more at home. In this sentence again, she hadn't learned the language, and so therefore, she didn't feel at home because she didn't speak English. So it's again an unreal situation that happened in the past, but it didn't happen really. So we use third conditional in these situations.
Very good. And that's why she would need to go to Trainlang to learn English.
Exactly, and learn something.
Exactly. Great. I
Again,
have another. Sorry,
yes.
Santi.
This sentence is interesting. I think we will talk about this later. But when we put it in the opposite way, so if we don't start with if, it doesn't have a comma between clauses. So we put the comma after if clause, but when we start with the other clause,
With
the
the conditional one.
would, could clause, then we don't use a comma in between both clauses. So,
Excellent. In fact, I think we're going to talk about it later when you help us with the mistakes,
spoilers.
typical mistakes. So you're ready for that. Good. Let me give you another example now. If they have moved to England, they might have experienced more rainy days.
That's
Of
for
course,
sure.
again, this is not real. They actually didn't move to England, so they didn't experience it. Tell me, have you experienced it when now that you're in Scotland?
Rainy days,
Yes.
every day, like even the nice days are
Are
rainy.
raining.
They're
Oh,
nice because they don't rain the whole day. It's not raining the whole day, but yes, actually it's nice. I got used to it. I lived before in Bilbao, and
so then you're
country.
ready for the rain. No problem.
Yes, I don't particularly like
You're
it, but
vaccinated. You're vaccinated.
yes, I'm vaccinated. Exactly.
Let me give you another example. He would have understood British humor better if he had watched more British comedy shows.
Oh,
That's
that's
a
a good
good one
one.
because I love British humor. But of
Really?
course, you need, oh, I really love it. I love it. Um, I, I had trouble understanding Spanish humor, but the British humor is
Well,
something that really makes me
not
laugh.
really particularly complex. It's not very complex Spanish humor.
That's
As
maybe
a
why.
Spanish person, I can say this. Yes,
Very good.
but yeah.
Again, here it starts with a conditional clause, and so he would have understood British humor. There is no comma. Directly, we have the if clause, and then followed by the uh, past perfect. Okay, give me a last example, please.
Just one?
Yeah, only one.
Only one. Okay, good. So this one, if I had studied in England, I would have gained a different perspective on education. So again, I haven't studied in England. So this hypothetical situation in the past didn't happen. So we use again third conditional, and I like this sentence because in England, education is a different thing. It's not only about learning things, but about social opportunities and position.
Wow.
Which,
So
yeah,
you do know about
I know it
education.
theoretically, but I haven't experienced. I come from public school in Spain, public university, free, free all the
Well
time.
done.
Middle class.
Well, you're doing very well. Okay, so now I need your expertise because I need you to tell me, as a teacher, Santi, I know you've been teaching for a while now and in Trainlang as well. What typical mistakes have you encountered related to this grammar point, okay? To this a third conditional.
Okay, there's mistakes that I come across with other people doing them, but also with myself. My wife she's always correcting me, and yes, I think it's hindering our relationship. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, for example, I really like well, I don't like, but I perceive the double negatives, for example, because we can use a negative on the first clause and again on the second clause. So if I say, if I hadn't never been to England, I wouldn't have known. It may make sense in our heads because maybe we're translating, but we cannot use negative and negative. We need to use just negative once in one clause. That, if that makes sense. I think that's a very common
Yeah,
mistake that
I like to
people
say to
make.
my students that, like in mathematics, two negatives become one positive, and then they start to understand that they can't have two negative in the same sentence because we end up saying the opposite of what we meant. So
Yes.
that's a good
Yeah.
one.
When you
Yeah,
negate
great.
negative. Yes.
Well, one mistake that you mentioned, and I will mention it, is the omitting if. Sometimes students forget to include the word if in their conditional sentences. I'll give you an example. Had I known, I would have come, instead of if I had known, I would have come. Okay. We have to be careful because these type of sentences in very high level of English can be used, but it's not exactly like that. So we won't discuss it today, but we need to make sure we use if. Come on, give me another example. Another mistake
Actually,
that
this
you
one that you
have.
just said, I've actually seen native speakers making
Yes.
this mistake. So yeah, I think the most common mistake would be to use the wrong verb tense. We're talking about past perfect, but we can mix present and past when we use in the third conditional. So if I would have known instead of if I had known, yes, that would be a mistake. So when we use would, could, the modal verbs, we don't use the present
If.
perfect simple and continuous there.
Exactly. And even though there are exceptions, but normally at that level, B2, we need to tell our students after if, we don't want a conditional, we don't want the modal verb. After if, we need the past, the past tense, for example, or the present if it's a second or conditional. But very important, never if I would, never. We don't want if I would. Okay,
Don't
that
want if I
helps.
would. Is our enemy.
Exactly, because it's very common. I have many students that say if I would. Why? Because in Spanish, I think si is followed by the conditional. No, si, no, is followed si estuviera. Yeah, there is an r there, and that's
The
a
problem is
problem.
that
But,
in Spanish, everything works well. Everything sounds all right. And so
well,
if
if
we
you live
translate
in
it from Spanish, yeah,
if you lived in Bilbao, and I have most of my family living in the Basque country, si estaría is not that
no, si
uncommon.
estuviera,
So
si hubiera estado. No, yes, it's true, it's true.
we need to be careful. But anyway, if let's remember, if is not followed by would normally. Okay, another mistake would be the word order, and to like not to use the words in the proper place. Student might say, I would have gone to the party if I have been invited, instead of I would have gone to the party if I had been invited. Okay, so we need to make sure the word order doesn't lead us to misusing um, tenses incorrectly. So it's not that simple, is it? We need to study that quite carefully and look for a good teacher like you to correct us.
You overselling me. Wow. Thank you,
It's
Elaine.
been
We're
lovely.
good
You know
friends.
what? You know what? We should have been talking about mixed conditionals.
Yes, but I don't think we have time for mix. Actually, mix takes longer than third conditional. So
Yeah.
maybe we can leave it for next time.
Yeah, and I
So
think we've just whet the appetite of the listeners, and they will look forward to hearing us talking about the
mix.
mixed conditionals.
Yes.
Okay, what do
I
you
hope
think
you don't
about
have
that?
mixed
Shall we finish
feelings
it
about it.
here? Very
Very
good.
good.
So now help us, Santi. Where can people learn more?
Of course, just by visiting trainlang.com or our campus.trainlang.com, you can learn English and many other languages. I think from this week on, we have also French and German and Portuguese and lots of other languages in the campus. And as we said, we adapt to your needs or the way that you learn, which every person is different. So we cater to many different ways of learning. And our goal is for you to learn as fast as possible, but also as efficient as possible. So yes, we
Having
will help
fun
you
at
to
the
learn
same
English.
time. It's been lovely, Santi. See you very soon on a future podcast.
Yeah, next time. Bye bye,
Bye
Aline.
bye for now.